Subtle skills, big results.
Welcome to the Ninja Selling Podcast.
Welcome back once again to the Ninja Selling Podcast. Matt and Garrett are with you here again. We'll make this a nice short intro. If you want to go check out ninjaselling.com, where this is all from, go to Ninja Selling. You will learn everything about what we are talking about. There's the book out there. There's a Facebook group. And right now with me, I got Matt Benelli on the other end, and we're excited to jump right into an episode with you.
Yes, we are excited. Good morning, Garrett. This will be a fun one. We're deviating from some of the business stuff and getting focused on kind of our mindset and our energy and all that good stuff. So this will be a good one. This is your topic. You brought this to the table, so I'll let you toss it out.
I threw this on our list a while back, and it came up for a lot of people that I see when we coach and you watch different energy levels come out of them. I have people personally in my life that I watch that have dealt with a lot of this and in choices that I've chosen to make in my life to try to help me stay in a certain position. And this goes back to a saying, and I heard it, I think I did it on a podcast or something, which depression is in the past, stress is in the future, and peace is in the present. And it is one of the truest statements I've ever watched. When I watch somebody that is super, super, super stressed out, they're trying to figure out the future and future events that they have really no control over. When they are in a depressed state, it's always typically looking at the past of what they've done, what they haven't done, and dwelling in some of those things. And it's really hard to be in either one of those when you are in the present and you're in this moment right now, right in front of you. Matt, you sitting in front of me right now. I can't be stressed. I can't be depressed. This moment right now, energy all in into this moment. It's actually why I think I like a lot of, and I surround myself with things in my life, Matt, that make me be in the moment because I can go into the future. I'm a very futuristic thinker and I can cause myself a fair amount of stress if I'm not careful.
What would it be like if we inhabited Jupiter?
Not that far, not that far into the future. But I think that this is a really good place because we watch people all the time, Matt, that get trapped in some of these areas. And there's medicine out there and doctors and all kinds of stuff. And I'm not saying that this is a substitute for it, but I think it's a great place to stop and say, where am I putting my mind today?
Yeah.
And what am I choosing to focus on? And what do I actually have control over? And that's why I brought this topic to the table, Matt. So Matt, good morning. Jump on in here, dude.
Good morning, man. I mean, the way you just kind of outlined that too makes so much sense, right? And you said like putting yourself in situations where you have to focus on what is going on in front of you, right? Because if we do think about it, like if you take a moment to think about what you have coming up later today or this week or whatever, it can start to stress you out. Oh gosh, I got all these things to do, right? Or if you're worried about a result from yesterday, then that can start to depress you. And I think if we practice that, just kind of do a quick practice on that. If you want to hit pause and do that, you'll be like, oh, wait, that is interesting. Whereas if I just focus my energy right here, those feelings start to go away. And while I'm with you, Garrett, there's all, doctors and all these things out there and people who can help you with these things if there's chronic issues. But personally, I don't think we need all that stuff because most of the issues aren't a chronic thing. It's just we're not focusing on what is right in front of us right now. And we do this with business too, in a sense where we're like, well, where's my next deal going to come from? Instead of focusing on the people who are in front of us right now, the people that we can have conversations with, the people we are conversing with in this moment. If we just stay present, then we're going to yield results that we actually desire versus just constantly being in this state of wanting something.
Well, it traps us. When you're constantly focusing on the future and you're getting stressed about the what if, where's my next transaction? What if I don't have that? What if I don't get that paycheck? And all of a sudden, that's the thing that's going to allow me to make my house payment, my car payment, whatever it is, put food on the table for my family. We're spinning in that. And what happens is there's a great opportunity sitting right in front of us right now, somebody that needs our help, somebody that we can bring our expertise to. And our brain is swirling out here and we're just not present with this person. They're talking away and we can see their mouth moving. We're hearing little tidbits and little words here and there. And in the back of our brain, we're going, God, wait, I think the Johnsons might want to write an offer, but I really hope I can get them under contract because if I can get them under contract, that'll fix this. And so far right now, Mr. Smith is sitting right in front of me going blah, 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 blah. And we're just like not taking it in at all. Like we're not taking in all the great information right here in this moment. And if we just stopped and said, what if it's not blah, 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 blah? What if I just give them my full attention in this present moment right now? And all of a sudden we're like, oh, he has something I can help him with. Hey, and it might be real estate. It might be helping him connect with something else that's going to make his world or her world be incredible. That's the beauty. It's why meditation is actually so incredibly powerful, is because it's one of those things that if you really can embrace it, it brings you into the moment.
Yeah.
It's one of the best ways I've seen to shut off chatter. And there's a lot of people that say, oh, I've never been good at meditating because I can't shut off the chatter in the back of your head. Well, you really haven't been able to
just haven't practiced it
to kind of go deep enough with meditation then to get that voice. Because once you can get it to shut off, it's like peace. And then of course, and I think it's an interesting part with meditation is the voice creeps back in. We all experience it with meditation.
Yeah.
And we go, oh, I've never been good at this. No, this is part of you being human, by the way.
That's part of it. Well, I think that's the funny thing with meditation, right? People think, oh, it's this space where I have to literally turn my mind to zero and shut it all off. And really, it's just being aware of exactly what's going on in your mind. It doesn't mean it's going to be quiet necessarily. I mean, you might physically want to find a quiet space that's distraction free to do something like that. But it's, you could be in a state of meditation when you're on a racetrack. You could be in a state of meditation when you're working out. I mean, for me, that's a lot of it. Like in the morning when I go for a run or if I'm doing a walk or whatever it is, I usually don't have, earbuds in my ear, and I'm just focused on that activity because that keeps me very present. And it does quiet some other things. Every now and then, all of a sudden, I start thinking about like the future and the day and all that stuff. And I catch myself. I'm like, wait, bring it back. I just want to kind of just acknowledge that I'm thinking of those things and bring it back to right now. And for those of you who are into a theology, spirituality, and religion, like you'll find in a lot of these teachings too, they talk about being present, right? And the importance of being right here and now, because, and as the saying goes, the reason why it's called the present is because it is a gift from God right now. And Wallace Wattles even talks about this in The Science of Getting Rich. He says, yesterday's work is done and tomorrow's work is for tomorrow. Do today's work today. Mm-hmm. Don't worry about those other things. Just focus on today's work, which is meaning be in the present. That is the surefire way for you to be able to produce and achieve what you truly desire.
Hey, Matt, as I kind of threw out there that my brain operates in the futuristic mode a lot. And there's a book called Now Discover Your Strengths by Marcus Buckingham. He's got a study, a test you can do in there to kind of figure out how you process and where your brain sits most of the time. And one of my top 3 is futuristic. And as I was saying, that can cause a lot of stress when you're constantly focusing on all these things you want to achieve, where you want to go, these things you want to have, events that you want to hold, things you want to do. And I was saying, I have to surround myself with things that force me to be in the presence a lot of times, just to shut my brain down and let it, so I'm curious. I want to share some of mine just that I've kind of, I don't even realize for myself. And I'm going to put you on the spot here for a second. Do you have anything in your world that you're like, these are things that I do, and I know you have one that puts you 100% in the moment?
Yeah, well, obviously, like the working out, cold plunging has become that for me as well. Hard to avoid that. Shooting, whenever I get to go to the range, definitely got to be in the moment when we're focused on things like that. Not that that's part of like a practice to get me in there, but those are just a handful of activities that I do that really help me focus on, hey, let me be right here. And I'll say, whenever I do those things, particularly doing something intense, and I'm sure the track is like this for you. Like if I'm going to the range, right? Like you got to be all in right there. Can't be thinking about anything else. Otherwise, you're not going to be on target. You're not going to be focused on what you're trying to accomplish. And the results are evident immediately. So how about you, Garrett? I mean, what are some of the things, being that futuristic mindset or thinker, as you put it, what are the things for you that you use to bring yourself into the present?
over my time of life, I've found different things as I've matured and grown up, and different opportunities have been around me. But when I was in college, rock climbing was my place. And
That's a good one.
Found rock climbing for me, which I did every single day. We had a place outside of Missoula called Kootenai Canyon, and I spent literally every day there rock climbing with my friends. And was it for the joy of being on the rock? There's a part of that. I really enjoyed that. I like the idea of climbing, but it was one of the first ways I found that I could shut my brain off. And really, it's not that I could shut it off. I had to be 100% focused on the moment in that time being on that rock face, because if my mind went anywhere else, I fell. And it's actually one of the reasons I liked lead climbing, because I didn't have a rope to catch me, at least not until I got my second anchor in.
Yeah.
First anchor, you people put in like, oh, you feel safe. Yeah, you still hit the ground.
But the length of the rope is doubled, and then
the length of the rope, and yeah. You're safe for a little bit. Once you get the second one, and then you're really safe. You got some protection there. But that for me was one way that I would get myself into an environment. I dealt with a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress through college, depression and stress, back and forth all over the place. And that's why I leaned into rock climbing so much, is because I got to shut my brain off while I was in that moment. It's funny, as I was sitting here talking to you, like, yeah, racing's one, being on a racetrack. I was recently out just the other day. We did a track day with brought my daughter with me. And it was funny. We had a situation happen where she was in the car to go on the track with me, and they pulled her out because she didn't have, they forgot to give her a wristband. And I found myself go out on the track while she was getting some stuff taken care of. And my mind wasn't there. I was really frustrated. One of my most things, and it was the last session of the day. And I found myself really upset that all I wanted was her sitting in the passenger seat with me. I made her sick the first session, so she had to sit out 4 sessions to be able to come back in. I was really hoping we were going to get a picture of her throwing up. They have a photographer outside the window, but we didn't get that picture. She didn't throw up. But I found myself on the track thinking so much about what I wish would have happened, the frustration of saying, I'm going to have this day now that I wish she was sitting next to me and she's not. I was making really stupid decisions on the racetrack. I was diving too deep into corners. I was out of shape. I had one time I put the car into a full slide, and I'm like, dude, you need to go get off the track, settle this real quick, and then come back out if you can.
And it sounded like you were in 2 headspaces. One, the depression of the past of her being pulled out the car, and then the stress of, I just want to get this over so that we can get her in the car.
Yep. And so it was like, I could have had like 10 laps out there, and I did 2, came back in, got her all situated, and then we went back out, and we had an incredible run. And we actually put the fastest lap time down of the entire day in that moment that I had her back in the car with me. And we had so much fun with her screaming and yelling and me having a good time. But it took me having a break, like a pattern break, to get my headspace back into the moment of right now. The other thing that came up for me, Matt, as we were talking, was welding. Not all of you know that I do like working on cars. I like working in the garage. One of my favorite things is welding, though. And when you're welding, there's an incredible thing that happens. You've got this hood on, and there's all these different sounds and all this different stuff. And what you're watching is you're watching a puddle of molten metal. And you're constantly making little patterns, usually like little E's, and you're touching new metal that hasn't been welded yet, and you're circling back around to a puddle of liquid metal, and you're pulling it along, and you keep pulling it along as you're heating this thing up. And there's a lot of elements to go. Am I burning through the metal? Is this weld too cold where the weld is sitting on top of the metal and not actually forming and being part of the metal that you're working with? Like, all these things you're watching and you're working with. And when you get into a rhythm with it, it's really fun. It's really like this mind-numbing space of just doing like this perfect pulling this metal along. Your brain can't be anywhere else. Like, it's one of the best ways I have found to shut my brain off is to go out, pick a project, start building stuff. And there's something rhythmic, methodic, bringing meditation into this that just makes you pull this little puddle along, pull it along, and then the satisfaction of lifting up your hood and looking at it with real eyes, real light, and seeing kind of what you created there. But you're not thinking about what you need to be doing later. You're not thinking about the transaction, maybe they didn't come together, the frustration of maybe the health of a loved one that you have right now that you're worried about. You're just in that moment. I think if you can find those things that you can do to shut the brain off of the past and of the future to just be right now, it's an extremely healthy place to be.
It really is. And that's where you find yourself more so, right? And with the distractions that exist in our world today, and even thinking about some of the things you said and some of the things that I mentioned, is there's, even if it's very small, an element of risk that where with concentration, that risk is mitigated quite a bit. And, maybe that's part of it too, is we surround ourselves with easy things, email and social media and all this stuff. And if you can find a practice that places a level of concentration you need in order to avoid falling off of a rock face, doesn't have to be that severe. It could just be riding a bicycle, right? And what you need in your world to be able to stay on those two wheels.
Or to take it off a sick jump. I'm sorry.
Or take it off a sick jump, right? Or to hold one wheel in the air. The other practice that obviously comes up for me, and I keep saying obviously as if everybody knows what I'm thinking, although maybe you do.
I know.
Is gratitude as well, right? Bring gratitude into your world with this. If you want to really slow the mind down and be present, just the practice of gratitude, right? And using the example of being stuck in traffic, the reason why it's so stressful is because we're thinking about the future when we're stuck in traffic. We're thinking about being late. We're thinking about getting to, even if we don't have anywhere really to be, we're just like, I just want to be on the other side of this. Instead, slow down, practice gratitude, and all of a sudden you become present and the stress and the depression fade away. And yeah, it could maybe still be frustrating and unpleasant, but you have that good space.
Next time you're in traffic, give yourself a task. Instead of focusing on the future of where you want to go, give yourself a task right now in this moment. It might be seeing how many license plates you can find from different states. It might be, seeing how many different nationalities you can find of all the different drivers around you. It might be like whatever it might be, have some fun with it and take it all in. How many blue cars you can find while you're out there, and pick a color of happiness and be like, you know what? When I find this color car, it just makes me happy. So let's look for as many of those as we possibly can. And it takes you and brings you into that moment. And that's, I think, is like, for me, it's like the act of rock climbing, the act of welding, the act of racing. It's a task at hand. I've given my mind to work on right now. And that is, I think, the easiest way to put yourself into that area is give yourself a job, give yourself a task and something to work on. And it might be fun, might be silly. Yeah. It might be something you're going to laugh at, that you're like, yeah.
And when it comes to your business, use that task in front of you right there to be present with. If it's a buyer consultation, a listing consultation, a Ford phone call, I mean, that's the number one reason why we see people stress about phone calls is they're thinking about the next call before they are finished with the one that they're on, right? And so I love this topic, Garrett. I love the way that you brought this up and introduced it. And I think it's going to be an ongoing practice for all of us, myself included, is just figuring out, okay, how do we just continually be present in the moments we have without stressing about the future? Because it certainly is easy to do with all of the different things that come through us, through our digital world and through just being a realtor, a lot of the inbound that you get. But the more we practice on this presence, boy, you're going to feel so much better, and you're going to be able to bring so much better energy to your business, to your life overall, and you're going to enjoy the results of it.
Well, and I think just, the reason we wanted to put this on the table is that sometimes we can get stuck in focusing on the future. Sometimes we get stuck focusing on the past, and it's the way we start our day, and we bring it back up and we do it over again. And it's one of those moments that you really don't have any control over. You don't have any control over the past anymore. You don't have any control over the future. So knowing that this is what's causing me stress, this is what may be frustrating me, just being aware of it allows you to take control of it. So I'm hoping this was a good topic for everybody out there today. I spend a lot of time in my world just kind of recentering my brain all the time. I might be a little bit more hyperactive than some, but at the same point, like, it's good for all of us to be aware of all the time.
No doubt.
So, Matt, thank you.
Thank you, man. Thank you for bringing this up. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. As always, if you want to learn more about Ninja, just head over to ninjaselling.com and join our community. Head over to Facebook, search for the Ninja Selling Podcast. You'll find us there. You can chat about this topic or any of the other topics that we talk about on the podcast too. So we look forward to meeting you and sharing that experience with you there as well. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, we love you. Have an amazing day, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Thanks, everyone.
If you enjoyed today's episode and would like more, visit us at theninjasellingpodcast.com.
There you will also find links for more information about ninja selling and coaching. Have an incredible day.